Good evening and welcome to War Room Battleground. My name is Jane Zirkle, filling in for political prisoner Steve Bannon. And the moms have descended upon Washington, D.C. I am joined by Catalina Stubbe, the National Director for Moms for Liberty. She is in town for the Joyful Warriors Summit. Catalina, what an exciting weekend we have before us. Tell me about it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. And just let you know, we're missing Steve. We're missing so much this brave warrior because he represented so good. He's a warrior. He is fighting for what is right, and he gets so much back up. So let's just pray for him.
100%. Now, I attended the summit last year when it was held in Philadelphia, and you gave a very compelling speech on the last day. I have to say, when this whole thing wrapped up last year, there wasn't a dry eye in the house. I mean, it was such a moving presentation, which makes things even more outrageous how they like to label this group as domestic terrorists, because it really is just a group of, mothers who love their children, who want to, protect their future. So how did you first get involved in Moms for Liberty? What compelled you to join this organization and fight for your children?
Well, I have 4 children, and as all the moms, we want the best for our children. I want the best education, the best values, to prepare my children for the future, to solve everyday problem, and to be productive members of society. But it's not happening with the actual educational system. So we are seeing all these failures. They are not teaching academics. They are not focusing on academics. They are just simply creating activists everywhere from the most little age and until even college. You see how students are being used to the purpose of being activists against other groups. So unfortunately, when we realized this, it was a little too late, but it's never too late when you want to save a kid. So I just took the decision to join the most impactful organization because they start taking out the mask, taking out the mandates. It's not about, the war is not against masks. It's about the mandates, the tyranny of the government, the overreach of the government. And this is exactly what we're doing every day. Our mission is to save education, to save our children, to protect their innocence, to protect what is most important is to be a child. It's not to present all the perversion of the world just because it's inclusive and diverse. This is not education. What they have right now is indoctrination, and we're going to continue our fight. We already passed 42 bills,
wow,
protecting children. And this is huge for a young organization as 3 years old that we are. We are taking action, massive action. The impact on the children is great. We're protecting sports, women's sports. We are protecting parental rights. We are protecting the innocence of the children. This is outrageous how they are telling a child that is born in a grown body and then trying to change their nature. So don't mess with the kids, definitely.
100%. And like you said, this organization is only 3 years old. Talk to me about how you've seen it grow in that time, because this is an organization that has swayed election, passed laws. Talk to me about that impact.
It's impressive. Even us, I think when you are just only focusing not on the result, but to take action and to make a change in the world. And for 3 years, we have been working day and night. When moms start working, we can change the world. And when we look back and we see all the accomplishment, is impressive, because 5 years ago, nobody was talking about this indoctrination or the failure of the system, and now it's in the mouth of all the politicians. Well, usually the good ones, they want to protect children, because as you saw, Bobby Kennedy said, I want to protect the children, the health of the children. You see, all the pillars on our country have been taken by the left, the Department of Justice, the health organizations, the institutions, the health institutions, the food, the education. health. I mean, everything. So little by little, we need to restore every single pillar to be strong enough to make America great again.
I can't help but take note of the symbolism with this event being held right here in downtown DC in the swamp. It really feels like the moms are sticking it to the administrative state. Talk to me about what this means for the election, how important it is this November for this organization to, have this event and how it will impact November.
So you are right there at the point. That's why we're doing it here in DC, because at play is the most important election in our lives. This is going to change to continue the words and continue to this insanity, or to simply just step up for our freedoms and make a change in our country. This election, we need to protect this election, inspire people, tell the parents what is going on with their children, prepare, training, so many things, and especially do not forget we're human. We need this joy. So joyful warriors are here to lift the spirits and to simply offer the best for our children.
Now, President Trump is speaking to the conference on Friday night. Give us a little preview about what you expect him to say and why President Trump is so important to the parental rights movement.
So what I'm excited is that it's not going just simply to be a rally or a speech, but it's going to be more personal, sitting down, answering questions with Tiffany Justice, which is one of our co-founders. And this is going to be so beautiful to see, so inspired to see, because it's a conversation. It's going to be more a conversation between two persons that agree to protect the children, to protect their education. So this is going to be huge.
Awesome. Well, we're so excited to hear from him this Friday. I believe I have Sam Sorbo, who is also highlighting this conference. She is speaking at the March for Children, which is happening this weekend. Sam, give us a rundown. What is going on? Why are you here? Why are you out here literally in the streets at this march supporting Moms for Liberty and fighting for children?
Yeah, it's funny. I signed up for it and then I thought, oh my gosh, it's a march in DC. What did I just do? But I'm going anyway. I'm very excited. I'm excited about the other speakers. Most importantly, I'm excited that people are waking up now and understanding that there is an attack against children in the nation. And I want to give people the website. It's marchforkids.com. If you want any information, you should come out, support. We're very excited to see people there supporting our kids and supporting parental rights, because it's the parents who ought to be making decisions on behalf of the children. And we're seeing more and more of the schools encroaching on those decisions, thinking that they should have the right to tell the parents to butt out when it comes to the upbringing of their children, to tell the parents that they don't have authority to help guide the child in some major decisions. We're talking about gender ideology being thrust upon children, among other things. And these are very dangerous. These are very dangerous ideas, frankly, and implemented, they're even more dangerous for the children. So we need to get people out to the march and step up for parental rights and for the rights of children as well.
Talk to me about what's at stake here this November for parental rights. How important is it that we elect President Trump and keep Kamala Harris away from the Oval Office?
Well, she's a tyrant. There's no mistaking that she's a tyrant. Unfortunately, there's no mistaking now that the Democrats relish the thought of killing babies. And I just say that if you don't protect the child inside the womb, you really don't have a right to say that you are trying to protect the child outside the womb. And we saw this with the DNC. So the party that used to be, standing up against the war on women is now creating a war on women and a war on babies. And she is their leading general in this war. And so if you want to protect parental rights, you need to get the vote out for Trump. It's that simple.
We're here in the far left swamp. I grew up here. I experienced what DC public schools do to children with their woke agendas. Tell me what parents should do. We're in back to school season. If their child comes to them and says, hey, my teacher just told me I can change my gender, how should parents be approaching this issue, especially when they are facing a lot of intimidation to speak up?
So I don't know what the law is in DC, but I know that in other states, if you go against the will of the child, the government has the authority in some states now to remove you as the parents. In other words, they'll send CPS to your house. They'll remove the child from you. You will be estranged from your child. So if your child comes home with any of that, my advice is to get out of the school, because the school could be a very dangerous place for you if you're not aware of what the laws are. And even if you are aware of the laws, these people are ideologues. They will go around the law to have their way with your child. And so we are living in very dangerous times, perilous times for both children and for parents. And so that's my best advice. Now, if you're going to try to work within the system, look, I know a parent who reached out to the school and said to the school, listen, my daughter feels like she's a boy, but we are not affirming that. And the school literally cut her out of the conversation, started having conversations with the daughter. The daughter was 13 years old. And prohibited the parents and actually worked some workarounds to prevent the parents from getting involved in the conversation. They had conversations with the child. They asked her what bathroom she wanted to use. They asked her what pronouns they should use. They asked her if they should keep information from her parents. And that is really the destruction of the family. These are very dangerous ideas that we're having right now. And they spell the doom of America. I can't stress this. I can't stress it enough that this is really the breakdown of our society. And so if we don't do everything we can right now to reclaim traditional America from the jaws of defeat, I don't know what. We're looking at two vowed Marxist communists that are breaths away from the president and vice presidency of the United States.
Big time, and we know this is a type of thing that goes on in Kamala Harris's California and in Tim Walz's Minnesota. Sam, where can the people follow you, and give us another rundown on what the march entails, who's speaking, how can they get involved if they're in the DC area?
Sure. So it's at the DAR, the Daughters of American Revolution Hall, and that's just off the mall, I'm told. I haven't been there yet, but I hear it's absolutely fabulous. You do need a ticket, so please go to marchforkids.com to get tickets. They're free, but because of security, we are issuing tickets for the event. Glenn Beck is one of the headliners. Alveda King will be speaking also. And a favorite of mine is Tulsi Gabbard these days. She is doing amazing things, and so I'm excited to see her as well. And of course, I will be there speaking. So go to marchforkids.com if you want more information about me and the Sorbo Studios and our ministry and what we are doing in the culture wars. Please go to sorbostudios.com. My books are there. Oh, I have a new book coming out next month called The Parent's Guide to Homeschooling, which will make it super easy for you to withdraw your kids from school and begin homeschooling them if you choose not to stay and fight.
Awesome. Well, Sam, you are a phenomenal advocate. You are a phenomenal mother. I know your son, Braden, he is just absolutely awesome and a fantastic dancer. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you at the march.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Do we have Carrie Moore? Mm-hmm. Carrie Moore. Carrie, you are on the ground right now at the summit. Put us in the room. What is going on there right now? Oh, we don't have Carrie. I think Carrie is on mute right now. So we're having some. Can you unmute that, Carrie?
Yeah, what's up? Let's just roll on.
All right, Catalina, what can we look forward to again with this summit? Who are some of the speakers besides for President Trump who we're very excited to hear from? Give us the rundown.
We do not have to forgive to laugh. So we're going to start today with the summit with Seth Dillon, Babylon B, with Rob Schneider, that it's a celebrity in Hollywood, and is going to be answering questions in this funny way that he can talk. Do not forget, of course, the reality that we live into this country. But I think do not forget ever that we are joyful warriors and we are here to enjoy life too. And then we're going to have President Trump. We're going to have training for our chapter chairs. It's so much filled, this agenda, with so many things, especially on Friday. Then Saturday, we have the March for Kids that Sam Sorbo was talking about early. And it's going to be huge, and it's free. So you can join because, our summit is already sold out. But you can come and support the kids. If you believe that we need to save our future, we need to save these children, is the moment to take decision and come to DC and be at the March for Kids. All the information, you find it at themarchforkids.com.
And these summits, these conferences, like the Turning Points, the CPACs, things like that, they're so important because of the coalition building that happens. You know, if you're someone in a liberal part of the country, you can feel very isolated by these incidents. You know, you see these things happening with the radical gender ideology, the DEI. A lot of times people are really afraid to speak up. I believe we have Carrie Moore now. Carrie, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, awesome. Can you just put us in the room? You are on the ground right now at the summit. What is going on there?
As usual, every year it's an electric event. When these parents come together and we get the trainings that nobody else provides, the Title IX trainings, the how to speak to your school boards, the candidate forums, even IT classes, it's stuff that, you know, regular average parents like us have never had. We get it every year, but Catalina touched on it a minute ago. It's so important, and it really every year just recharges our batteries to be able to go back to our home counties and really take on what we're decades behind. But we're catching up quick with all of the powerful moms and dads and grandparents throughout the nation that are coming up and really stepping up to fight for the kids. So it's really just an electric, I don't want to say love fest.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I think it was last year. Yeah, for sure. Now you are in the great state of Texas. Tell us about some of the battles you have fought there. Some of the outrageous things you've seen in our schools that are targeting our children.
Well, we're lucky enough to have people who have already fought these battles in other states like California and Illinois. And so luckily we get a lot of those influx people who are trying to escape that. And we have a lot of great people that are leading us down what's supposed to be happening next, because that's what's happened in the other states. Right now we have the usual, luckily we had the Moms for Liberty injunction. The state of Texas also had an injunction against the Title IX changes. So that's fantastic. But we're dealing with all kinds of problems here, from still the library books. We still have school boards here in Texas that refuse to keep gender separate in the bathrooms and in sports, despite the injunction, despite the fact that the Supreme Court stopped that. We have sexual assaults, physical assaults on children. We have a lack of due process for our kids when they're accused of something. We have school boards that don't want to work with parents, that will hold evidence until the statute of limitations is up. It's a mess. It is a mess. And so we're running around the state of Texas and putting out all of these fires. So that's why things like this are so critically important, to take time out, come here, recharge, figure out what you know and how I can help you. The camaraderie is just irreplaceable.
One of the things that really surprised me that I learned from the summit last year was that this isn't just happening in liberal areas of the country. It isn't just happening in high school and middle school. It's happening from the second kids are entering the school system. And it's really outrageous. But what do you have to say to the Biden administration and the mainstream media who label you guys as domestic terrorists, who say that you're just being dramatic, that this type of stuff isn't really going on? What do you have to say to that?
Well, I can call a table a chair. It doesn't mean it's true. So we just say that we are here. We're awake. We know what's happening in our schools. We're finding out more and more, and we're becoming more and more engaged with each other, with the legislative process. And I can't control what they do, but I can control what's happening in my local environment. And that's why it's so important. Get involved, momsforliberty.org, find your local chapter and find out what you can do locally. And then the Biden administration, just kind of whoever's in charge, is going to be kind of second seat. Because when I can have a meeting with my school board member, that's what's going to impact me immediately. I can't control what's happening nationally, but I can sure control what's happening in my backyard. And so I think that's where we really need to just keep that focus on local control, and everything else will take care of itself.
Carrie, we know you have a busy weekend ahead of you. Where can the people follow you and get involved with Moms for Liberty?
Momsforliberty.org. Anywhere in the country, you can go to momsforliberty.org, find your chapter. We're in 48 states. There is a chapter near you. If there's not one near you, one of us will reach out to you and completely help you with whatever issues you're having. We have parent advocates all across this nation that are just ready. We all fill different roles, and so we're just all ready. There's somebody that we can connect you with that can help you. So you feel like at least you're not alone, and then get you engaged. Find what really pumps your blood and get you engaged in stopping the insanity in our schools.
Big time, big time. Thank you so much, Carrie. I look forward to seeing you later today at the summit. Kallen Habibelahy. Kallen is a 15-year-old rising political star. He is the chairman of Virginia High School Republicans. Kallen, I want you to give your testimony today about what you've experienced with this woke and radical agenda being implemented in schools. You're in Virginia. Of course, the parental rights issue really elevated your governor to victory, and it's been a major cause of controversy in Northern Virginia specifically because of how it has really harmed the academic standards in the schools there that were once regarded as some of the best in the country. So tell us what's going on in high school today.
So to start off with what I personally experienced, since the 6th grade, I have constantly dealt with liberal teachers, and they progress their political ideologies in ways that tell you to think a certain way instead of encouraging you to actually think about the issue. I had a teacher who called everybody who participated in the January 6th march white supremacists, LGBTQ murals. There's still pride flags in pretty much the majority of classrooms I go to. Teachers constantly criticizing Trump, and again, they're telling students to think a certain way and not encouraging them to actually question an issue. Most people don't even realize that they're being slowly brainwashed by these teachers. And to go on to another thing, Loudoun County was embroiled in a national controversy about 2 to 3 years ago because a non-binary individual was allowed into the women's restroom and he had sexually assaulted 2 different women, which is very unfortunate. That only happened because of Loudoun County's pandering to the woke mob, and people are getting hurt as a result of that.
So because they allowed a biological male in girls' restrooms, there was sexual assault. Absolutely disgusting. What was the response of the school district to that?
So to add more details to that, it actually happened at one school. And instead of expelling him and prosecuting him, they covered it up and transferred him to another school where he had done the exact same thing again. And finally there, it got exposed and there was national outrage over it. Women keep getting hurt because of the pandering of these school districts to the woke mob. And now it was recently released.
Kallen, I want to hold you to after the break. We'll be right back. On the other side, we are going to the international stage with Rebekah Koffler and Sam Faddis. Stay tuned.
In these crazy times, there is peace of mind in security. Security for our country, security for our leaders, and security for our families. But you're not financially secure if all your eggs are in one basket. Gold and silver are an excellent way to diversify your savings. They're a hedge against inflation. With Birch Gold Group, you can own physical gold and silver in a tax-sheltered retirement account. Secure your family's savings today. Text Bannon to 989898 and receive a free info kit on gold. Plus, this August only, Birch Gold is giving away free Trump silver coins with any purchase. This brand new one-of-a-kind silver coin features Trump boldly raising his fist in the moments after the attempt on his life. Don't miss your chance to own this special piece of history, a celebration of a leader dedicated to our security, preserved in the security of a precious metals coin. Secure your savings today and get your free Trump silver coins. Text Bannon to 989898 today. That's Bannon to the number 989898. We've seen it time and time again. Somebody exposes the truth just to be labeled a conspiracy theorist realist, only to be proven right later on. Well, let me tell you about the next thing you should be concerned about: government geo-tracking of your phone and other devices. We've seen the government use geofencing to track the devices of individuals on January 6th, leading to unwarranted arrests without evidence of wrongdoing. Stop big tech and government overreach. There's no other option. You have to protect yourself. Silent offers an efficient, easy solution to protect your location and personal data. Their Faraday products block all incoming and outgoing signals, so no one can get their hands on your information. Simply place your device inside, close the sleeve, and that's it. You're off the grid, untrackable, and safeguarded from unauthorized access. Go silent today at slnt.com/Bannon to save 15% plus free shipping on qualifying orders. Stay ahead of what's coming and secure your privacy today. Again, that's slnt.com/Bannon for 15% off and free shipping on qualified orders. slnt.com/Bannon.
All this nonsense, all this spin, they can't handle the truth.
War Room Battleground with Stephen K. Bannon.
Welcome back to War Room Battleground. My name is Jane Zirkle, filling in for political prisoner Steve Bannon. I'm joined by Kallen Habibelahy. He is the president of High School Republicans in Virginia. Kallen, pick up where we left off before the break. You were talking about this case in Loudoun County. What was the response of the school district to all this?
Sure. So to add more detail to that case, he was led into the women's restroom at one school where he had unfortunately sexually assaulted that poor girl. Then after that, instead of him being prosecuted and expelled from the school district, which had obviously happened, they covered it up and transferred him to another school where he did it again. Finally, they couldn't really cover it up anymore, and there was national outrage over it, and people were coming from all over the country to speak and talk sense into the school board. I'm not sure how many people are going to end up getting hurt before the school board finally takes action, but it's very unfortunate that those two poor girls have to get hurt, and there's been no justice taken. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So it was also recently came out that he had been released from the detention he was at, and the families weren't notified, and they didn't even make him register as a sex offender. It's a very unfortunate case.
Absolutely disgusting. So, Kallen, you are a 15-year-old. You are involved. You are engaged, getting people out to vote in November for your future. What is your call to action to those who can vote and to, fight for the future and everything like that?
Your vote is important. I know. A lot of people think that one vote may not be too important, but every single vote counts this November, and this will be one of the most important elections of our lifetimes. It can either be important because we elected one of the best presidents of the 21st century, Donald J. Trump, or we elected a president that's going to lead to the fall of America.
Kallen, where can the people follow you and get involved with your efforts?
Sure. On Twitter, it's my full name except the Y at the end. And you can also visit my organization at hsrfv.org.
Awesome. Thank you so much. What's your reaction to that? 15 years old, fighting for the future, and that Loudoun County case. I mean, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and I don't think any parent, especially fathers, want her child, her favorite girl, her, innocent girl to be sharing a bathroom with a boy, or worst case scenario, it's to be raped by a guy just because the policy of a federal government that is pushing through all the schools. But this indoctrination and sexualization that we are seeing this, the most outrageous thing is they are doing that with our tax dollar payer, and that we can basically cannot oppose to that, because if you oppose to that, they call you racist, homophobic, or whatever name they also have. Because when they don't have arguments, convincing arguments or common sense arguments, they will attack you personally. This is how the left is always playing. But now we are tired of that. We're the big majority. Parents are tired of this indoctrination, of this sexualization, of putting our girls in this danger, or that they are men, taking away all the merit for the girls in sports. And we're taking action. So is the moment to join an organization like our organization and keep being courageous and stand up for our children.
Big time, big time. I have Noah Formica, field rep from Turning Point Action. Noah, you are a grassroots superstar. Talk to me about how this parental rights issue is playing out in the field. How is it getting people motivated to vote when you're talking to voters on the ground? Is this a key issue for them?
Hi, Jane. Thanks for having me back on the show. And I will tell you, I mean, it is a big issue for people, you know, coming this November. And I mean, especially in this part of Pennsylvania, I mean, people do not want late-term abortions. People do not want to see the murder of their children. I mean, we're going through a lot of these red counties where people are just, you know, generally up in arms against those kind of radical policies. And I mean, I can tell you, people are coming from all walks of life to make their voices heard and vote against the radical left's, you know, pro-abortion stance.
I see you're on the ground currently registering voters. Where are you now?
So I am in the Indiana County Fair right now. So far, we have 28 voters. But, you know, since we last talked, I was at the Washington County Fair where we registered 189 voters. And then I diverted and I went to Luzerne County where we registered 50 voters there. And then since we talked, I went to the Arizona Trump rally where, you know, that big RFK Jr. endorsement just happened. And our Turning Point Action team registered 642 voters. So, I mean, we're going to do it again in Johnstown tomorrow on Friday, you know, registering more voters. Why? It's because 13% of people who attend Trump rallies are not registered to vote. And you better believe we are going to do everything we can to mobilize them.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Talk to me about how the RFK Jr. endorsement and the Tulsi Gabbard endorsement as well has affected things. Are you talking to voters who have been swayed now over to Trump because of that?
Well, I will tell you. So we actually just talked to a farmer a few days ago here at the Indiana County Fair. And he pretty much just told me, he's like, I've been a lifelong Democrat my whole life. I've always voted Democrat. Now this cycle, he is voting Republican. Why? It's because he saw the endorsement of RFK. And this was a few days before Tulsi endorsed Trump. And he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, the radical left is, you know, they're completely out of control. And, you know, them ditching Joe Biden and replacing him with Kamala Harris, that just completely took away the primary voices of so many Americans in Pennsylvania who made their voice heard for their candidate of choice. So, I mean, he's like, what's going on with his party? You know, and I helped him register Republican. I told him, you know, whenever the Democrat Party changes, maybe switch back. But, you know, he said, you know, he doesn't see him changing for a very long time. So he's going to stay registered Republican now.
And I know we're closing the gap in Pennsylvania. What are the current numbers looking like there?
So here's the current data in Pennsylvania. A week ago, Democrats had an advantage of 354,152 voters. So in just 1 week, we chipped 1,926. It is currently 352,226. So, I mean, that doesn't even include active voter registration numbers, where it's 170,462. So, I mean, Democrats gained 3,807, but Republicans gained 5,733. So, truly, we are still keeping up the momentum, even though the Democrats are pushing big time in the state of Pennsylvania. And, you know, I think we're going to start to see a lot more people register, especially, you know, with the RFK endorsement, the Tulsi endorsement. I mean, that data hasn't even come through the system yet. So you better believe we're going to capitalize on that momentum and get them all registered. But I also want to bring this to your attention because this is fantastic. So Penn State is in Center County. We are 937 voters away from flipping Center County. And this is even crazier. Luzerne County, this is a bellwether county. It is 612 voters away until it is a red county. So all these different counties are flipping Republican. They're flipping Republican fast. And, our boots on the ground down here in Pennsylvania are going to do everything we can to make that happen.
I love to see it. Action, action, action. Noah, where can the people go and follow you and get involved with Turning Point Action?
You can follow me on Twitter at NFORMICAGOP. Again, that is NFORMICAGOP. And you can get involved with Turning Point Action at tpaction.com. And also, here's a very good link for Turning Point at tpaction.com/commit100. Join that program, get involved, commit to chasing 100 early ballots because that's the ground game. And we need to get people to vote early because, like Charlie said, the last day of election is on November 5th. So we got to capitalize on that early voting period and beat the Democrats at their own game. And we're going to do that to our fullest advantage here in Pennsylvania.
All the way, all the way. Thank you so much, Noah. Rebekah Koffler, author and former Intel agent. Rebekah, you have 2 new pieces currently, one in the New York Post and one on Fox, reacting to the fallout from the DNC and how Russia is involved in all that. Give us the rundown. You are an immigrant from Soviet Russia. What is your reaction to Kamala Harris?
Well, Kamala Harris is, and the whole orchestrated switcheroo, I would call it. They pushed out Joe Biden and they just replaced him with Kamala Harris to run for U.S. president. Just takes me back, give me a flashback to Soviet Russia, because this is how Soviets did business. We never really had real elections. There was always one person on the ballot chosen by the Soviet Politburo, right? The Russian deep state. So in a similar manner, the deep state selected Kamala Harris. She was the only one who was allowed to be as a representative from the Democratic Party, for whom this celebratory electronic, vote was held, right? And she got 99% of votes, and she never even ran in primaries, right? Nobody ever selected her. So she inherited Joe Biden's votes. She inherited millions of dollars in campaign financing. And all of a sudden, here she is. And not only that, they're trying the deep state, or whoever that is that's running the country right now, because clearly it's not Joe Biden. He's pretty much, he reminds me of Brezhnev, right? The Soviet leader who was barely functional. So he's not running the country. So what they're trying to do basically is have her win the election by removing people's choice. They're going after Trump with all these various things, with the zeal that Putin goes after his opponent. So clearly, the Democratic Party has borrowed a page out of Soviet playbook to transform America from a free capitalist country into a socialist and communist hell that I came from. And I don't want my children to live in the same hell that I came from.
It's truly frightening. Now, in your Fox News piece, you wrote about how the DNC really had wall-to-wall coverage in Russia, and they took a liking to Tim Walz. Talk to me about that. What was their coverage like?
Sure. They ran a full page in one of the Russian newspapers, several, Vedomosti, Kommersant, basically the entire Russian media, which is almost exclusively state-controlled, right? So Putin is in charge. And so they ran this op-ed glamorizing Tim Walz and basically accusing the U.S. right wing, they said, media of portraying him as pro-China. And in reality, the Russians are saying he's not pro-China. Yeah. He has a strong record on human rights. And so they were basically glamorizing both Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, saying that these are the good candidates. But guess why they're doing it? Because they fully understand what they are trying to do, right? The Russians, you would think that they would be looking for somebody who is good for Russia, right? Who pursues a policy that's favorable to Russia. No, that is not their objective, because they have concluded that it doesn't really matter whether it's a Republican or a Democrat that occupies the White House. The policy is always anti-Russia. And in fact, if anything, President Trump, he pursued the most robust anti-Russia policy since Ronald Reagan. Not many people know that, but I also have a piece written about it in the Federalist. Putin feared Trump, right? So they don't want Trump, but they know they can't, really elect the American voters are electing a U.S. president. So what they're trying to do,
our opponents know what's good for us, and our opponents know what's bad for us, for sure. Rebekah, where can the people follow you and get your latest writings?
Anywhere really, on Fox News, New York Post, Newsweek. You can just Google Rebekah Koffler. And I also want to say that I just stood up, since I'm an immigrant, and I stood up an organization called Legal Immigrants for Trump. Legal Immigrants for Trump. And we are people who come from these, communist held type countries. I have friends from Cuba, I have friends from Venezuela, and we're all just horrified. So we want to educate immigrants who are now leaning Democrat. Why are they doing it? Because Asians, Latinos, they're all such hardworking people. They can't possibly be voting for Kamala because she wants to set price controls in the socialist style. So she's going to drive this country to the ground. So we want more immigrants voting Republican, voting for Trump and for MAGA.
Yeah, big time. Thank you so much, Rebekah. I look forward to having you on again. Sam Faddis. Sam, there are some big developments with Taiwan. What is China planning on doing the second they realize that President Trump is coming back in office this November?
Well, look, the Chinese have been telling us about every 5 minutes for as long as anybody can remember that they intend to reunify with Taiwan. Obviously, they consider Taiwan to be a breakaway province. This is not a question of invasion, right? They're reabsorbing. They say explicitly it's an internal matter. Folks that follow national security have been focused on that, aware of it to varying degrees. I think what folks are sleeping on, if that's the right expression, is that from the Chinese perspective, this window of opportunity to move on Taiwan may be closing. If you're sitting there, Xi Jinping, with his dream team in terms of Biden and Kamala and their national security folks in charge, and then you see them lose, assuming Trump wins in November, and you've now got basically a little under 4 months before Donald Trump sits down in the Oval Office, I think anybody with any sense has to realize that's going to affect their calculus and timetable. In other words, we will either move now against Taiwan while we still have these clowns, that's the most charitable term, in the White House, or we're going to have to wait a minimum of 4 years for anything like this opportunity. So I think you are very likely to see this go hot in a variety of ways in the middle of November, if, as I expect, Donald Trump wins.
As far as how we got here, do you believe that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden's role in this was intentional, or do you believe it's just purely incompetence?
Well, the best case you could say, as you just suggested, is that it's incompetence, right? That's how horrible the situation is. That the good news would be if they're just grotesquely incompetent. Do I believe that's all you're looking at? Absolutely not. I don't believe that accounts for what you've seen. I think you are talking about malfeasance, as I've said many times. Make a simple decision tree, one of those things where you just list every decision that Joe Biden's made since he sat down in the White House, and Kamala's part of those. And then just check off, did it benefit communist China or did it benefit the United States? I would defy you to find a single decision that these guys have ever made that was to the detriment of Beijing and to our benefit from day one.
Sam, you have a new piece up on your Substack about modern day pirates. Tell us about the piece and where can people follow you and get the stack? So the piece is a part of our continuing coverage of what's going on in the Red Sea. At most of the news media, as with so many other things, just kind of doesn't want us to focus on this. Look, the Houthis, who are rebels in Yemen and they are an arm of the Iranians, right? They're trained by, equipped by, and directed by the Iranians. They have effectively closed the Red Sea, which is one of the world's most important shipping corridors to shipping. Ships are literally sailing all the way around Africa to avoid this. And we've had the U.S. Navy out there month after month after month, but of course hamstrung, limited in what they're allowed to do, sort of, pretending that we're fighting a war. And the bottom line of our piece is, look, we are losing the war. We are not winning. It's not even a stalemate. Sam, we have about 20 seconds left. Where can they follow you and get the stack?
Just go to And Magazine at Substack, andmagazine.substack.com. And my last words would be, free Steve Bannon.
Free Steve Bannon. Catalina, where can the people follow you?
Catalina, Stubbe, and Mom's #4 Liberty also, or you can just go directly to the website, momsforliberty.org. Fight times to get involved.
How I still remember the words Grandma said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Let truth and justice lead you. Follow peace with every man. And let your light shine bright throughout this dark land. We will raise higher banner with freedom as our song. May the fire of liberty keep burning in me. Standing tall for what is right. What we seek is not our fight. Let grace and truth lead us on to victory.